Now, this is an interesting one. The Pittsburgh Steelers only made one move, well, two moves, I guess, if you count Brandon Eccles, two moves at corner in free agency this year, a position that I think everybody had pretty high on their list. It was believed maybe Dante Jackson was going to be that guy. He wasn't that guy. They signed Darius Slay. They keep Beanie Bishop around. They draft Dante Kent maybe to compete with him as a 7th-round pick, but there's not a lot of big superstar potential at the nickel position, the slot corner for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Many have mentioned the name Asante Samuel Jr. as a potential option for them this season. Now, everybody asked at the same time, why hasn't he signed? What's going on with Samuel Jr.? Why isn't he, a target? Why does nobody want Asante Samuel at this point in the offseason? The answer has been revealed. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler announced that Samuel underwent neck surgery on a very long, lingering issue that has started in his neck. He said it was something that he was almost born with and went down into his shoulder. He was unable to perform at his full capacity last season. He underwent neck surgery in April. He is going in for a checkup in July. At that point, after the checkup, is when he plans to begin looking to sign with a team to make sure he is 100% healthy. I'll say that works out perfectly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are a team that right now are not looking to make another splash on defense. They've had their defense. Their defense is ready. But just like the wide receiver position, I look at it and go, you are going to test the waters with the guys you have in-house. You are going to give Beanie Bishop an opportunity. You are going to give Brandon Eccles an opportunity and Dante Kent an opportunity and see what you have in Corey Trice in year 3 and, hope that Darius Slay is a superstar right off the bat. I'm obviously 34 years old. He's been one, but is he going to continue? Joey Porter Jr. takes another step forward. All of these questions, you want them answered before you go out and get another corner, and July is perfect for that. You now have minicamp and OTAs. You can evaluate and see what you could bring it or what you have on the field now, and then assess the position for 2 months. You've 2 full months to say, all right, sounds good. And if he's getting checked, hopefully it's late July, you can make a move maybe the beginning of training camp, maybe right before training camp. But this is a guy that's clearly injured, is most likely going to get a 1-year prove-it deal, which works out very well for the Steelers. And if they want a 1-year prove-it deal guy, much like they did with Cam Sutton last year, then you have to, or then it works out perfect because you're going to see what you have in the guys on the field. I think Asante Samuel Jr., because of this, becomes an actual option for the Steelers. I'm not saying that as a report. It's purely like this timeline seems to work for them, but it works in the Steelers' favor if they are considering a corner at any point during the rest of this offseason. Your thoughts on that?
It seems like a lovely potential fit. I mean, whenever he was coming out and entering the NFL, he seemed like a perfect fit for the Steelers at the time, with that NFL pedigree. There was a need at safety whenever he was coming out of college. So I think it was surprising that he got passed over and ultimately landed with the Chargers anyways. So I think that there has always been an interest from the Steelers in Asante Samuel Jr. So I think this is just a continuation of some sorts of that interest. And yeah, the timeline that you're bringing up is really, really what I find so interesting about all of this, is because you don't have to know right this second. Okay, we don't have to say Asante Samuel, this person who is recovering from what sounds like a pretty intense traumatic injury that he was healing from, and especially for a football player, the neck area is so sensitive, hoping that he is okay first and foremost. But for him to not have to know right now, and for the Steelers not have to know right this second that they would have to commit to him as being the number 2 cornerback or, number 3, whatever the situation is, I think that is really, really attractive right now. Because if he's just kind of, maybe it's a handshake deal, maybe it's a let's wait and see, make sure your rehab goes all right for the next couple of months, and then we'll see where things are at. But yeah, I think he's an intriguing option, and I think it would be an upgrade over, what the bottom of their depth chart looks like at cornerback.
Yeah, I agree. Like you could come in here and say Beanie looks good. We want to give him an opportunity, but we need somebody to compete with them. And Dante Kent isn't going to be that guy because what's worse than an undrafted guy going up against another undrafted guy or going up against nobody is an undrafted guy going up against a 7th round pick. I just don't think that could get any worse. And the Steelers, like that is the one hole. The Steelers avoid slot corner like the plague. They just don't, they use them all over the place. And they constantly have a need for slot corner and they just avoid filling it. Asante Samuel Jr. to look at, I would sign Asante to a 1 year, $2.5, $3 million deal just to kind of juice it up and say you're 24, 25 years old, come to Pittsburgh and, maybe it makes sense. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't, but you're going to get an opportunity to compete with a guy that, we also like. And that's the best part is, Mike Hilton's name has been tossed out a number of times. My problem with Mike Hilton is the fact that he's 31 years old and maybe Mike Hilton's better than Beanie Bishop, but maybe he's just slightly better than Beanie Bishop. And at that point, I don't know if I want to hinder the development of Beanie Bishop, a guy that you might have an opportunity to do something bigger with for a 31-year-old. Asante Samuel Jr. could be the future. Like he could be the guy that's getting a 4 or 5 year deal after this season. He could be a guy that plays inside and out. I just feel like it makes so much sense for the Steelers he was not on my mind or on my radar at all in Pittsburgh. And I don't think he was on Pittsburgh's radar. I still don't know if he is on Pittsburgh's radar at all, but I do think that this makes so much sense if it works out long-term or if it works out in July, because it gives the Steelers a short-term option and then a long-term outlook with multiple options for a position that they are going to have to fill. What's your, I might have asked you this in the last couple of days, but what's your confidence level in Beanie? You have confidence in Beanie? Is he your guy? Do you want him to be the guy?
Oh, do I want him to be the guy? I mean, yeah, I love the idea of an undrafted free agent who just like stuck it out and worked his butt off and eventually became like the guy for the Steelers in whatever position that is. So I am rooting for him to continue progressing and maybe find something more permanent and have the Steelers have their full faith in him. That would make me incredibly happy. Do I think he's going to? My confidence level's low. I think we might have been talking about this yesterday where like if they were to pivot towards like Mike Hilton, I feel the same way as you where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm 10, 15, 20% confident in Beanie and like 20 to 30% confident in what Mike Hilton does. So like, I'm not getting this huge improvement by going after him. But contrarily, if you go after Asante Samuel Jr. and bring him in, you got somebody that I would feel way, way more confident in. And then, but my question to put it back on you here is, would you be as interested if there was anything longer than a 1 year deal on the table? And is there anything in terms of money? What's the cap that you would give him? I heard you say 2.5, $3 million. Is it anything more than that? You're like, we're good. We have to go with what we got. Or is he worth that much to you?
I think corners are cheap. And I think corners always seem to be cheaper than you think that they're going to be, or they're crazy expensive. And there just seems to be no middle. Like there's never a corner signing where you're like, that was good. That was just a good, even split sign, like made sense for both sides. Either the corner got screwed or the team got screwed. It's one side or the other. I would say for the Steelers, if they find middle ground, to me, $2-3 million is low. I'd go $5 million on a 2 year deal, nothing guaranteed after the first year for Asante Samuel. I don't think he'd want to do anything longer than that because he's betting on himself to sign a bigger deal. Like, corners are going for $20 million right now. Like he would probably get somewhere around 10 to 12. And I think that's a good chunk of change compared to 5. You're doing pretty all right. So I would say I'd go 2 years. I think that would be a good spot for him and for the Steelers. I'd go $5 million a year with nothing guaranteed on the back end if that was the case. I could see, I don't know. I could see Asante Samuel as like, if you're going to take a risk on somebody, you might as well take a risk on somebody who's actually good and is shown to be good in the NFL. I think that's I think that's Asante Samuel Jr. And I like the youth, like Darius Slay was awesome. I don't know what my faith in Corey Trice is just yet. I don't know what my faith in Beanie Bishop is just yet. Asante Samuel is a good option that I think could be worth a decent amount of money. They were willing to, I'll say this, they wanted Nate Hobbs real bad out of Vegas, real bad out of Vegas. Gerald Alexander was pounding the table trying to get him from Vegas after he arrived, but they weren't going to pay that type of money. I believe he went for $15 million a year, something like that, some crazy amount for a guy like Nate Hobbs. I could see Asante going cheap, and I could see the Steelers being a little aggressive if they need to be, and I'd be somewhat okay with that.